All right. Mary, are you here?
The hands of every inner city kid so they can pick their education. And safety on the street. You can't have community life and economic
Mary,
progress without safety.
I was wondering, do you know any musicians in the fifth dimension? Do you know any musicians?
Holistically. But, the media recently has looked at our efforts to bring...
Do you think I could talk to them one day? Or one of them?
Of these communities that are suffering the violence, and then they equate that
Wow.
with jackboot, what they refer to as jackbooted federal agents going in to crush protesters. They don't,
What musician? What's the name of the musician that I need to I might be talking to?
Understanding of what's happening around them, or it's deliberate. And they don't live there, and they don't send their kids there, and they don't shop there. They find a way out of everything. When we return,
And
about some of the other matters.
wow, man,
Curious about
I'm excited. We'll come back to that either this time or next time or someday. That's exciting for me, Mary. Yeah, all right. I did not expect you to say yes, so that I thought I wouldn't be able to for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm pessimistic. Mary, I was wondering, is there anything, just anything, that you can tell me, anything interesting that you could tell me about Atlantis?
You're not seeing the most accurate price. Shop at Carfax. You won't have to overpay on a used car again. Shop millions of great deals at the all-new Carfax.com. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even in a doctor's office. I'm standing on the street talking to real people about their heart. How's your heart? My heart's pretty good.
O
I think so. How do you know? You're driving a car.
S T
The heart doesn't have an A. Check heart sign. I want to show you something.
B
Right on those pads. There you go. In 30
U
seconds, we're going to have a medical grade
T
with Cardio Mobile.
F
Clear personal EKG device. You can take a medical grade EKG in just 30
O
seconds from anywhere. Cardio Mobile is proven to detect
U
fibrillation, one of the leading causes of stroke, and it's the only personal
and
EKG in the world that can also detect normal heart
D.
rate, bradycardia, and tachycardia.
Lost but found. Do you mean like it was a lost civilization, but then historians found it? Is that what you're referring to?
Cardio Mobile is now available for just $89. Order at cardiomobile.com or Amazon.
Did any of your past lives, did you live in Atlantis in any of your past lives?
Too tight here, too loose there, too long here. I have the perfect solution for you.
Yeah.
M. Taylor Custom Jeans. Stop spending hours.
Did I live in Atlantis in any of my past lives?
On iOS or Android. Standard jeans use just 2 measurements. M. Taylor Custom Jeans
Yeah.
use 7 different measurements.
So I guess you or me, my soul layers or whatever, neither of us would probably know a lot about Atlantis if we weren't from there. Is that true? None of us, we probably just wouldn't know anything really.
It was so easy to be measured by MK. It took less than 30 seconds. This is definitely my favorite pair of jeans. They fit perfectly.
Mary, are you familiar with the term, or can you gather what I mean by the term glitch in the Matrix? Do you know what that means?
It's been said, the sun, sea, and fresh air are the best medicine of all. We could
Glitch in the Matrix.
sandals, we have an abundance.
Yeah.
Whether you want to stroll hand in hand.
Well, I guess that means reality. I saw this video. I don't think it's a glitch in the Matrix. I think that there was a basketball and a kid, and he was running, and then a basketball seemed to appear out of nowhere, and I think the basketball was just in front of him. But if it was a glitch in the Matrix, then it would be like he was walking, and then out of nowhere, a basketball manifested. And I was wondering, does that ever happen in reality here in the third dimension, where something doesn't exist, like a basketball or I don't know, a tree maybe, or I don't know what, and then suddenly there's a glitch, and then suddenly it manifests. Can that happen here in the third dimension? No.
They'd like to get together.
Okay.
They say if it's not a waste of time, we'll do it. But if it is a waste of time, it doesn't make sense.
Mary, I was wondering, this is sort of like a personal question. Does it give you a certain personal satisfaction telling me about the fifth dimension? Because, like, you know that, like, I can't really conceive of what it's like. Like, when you tell me about the fifth dimension, do you feel, like, satisfied that you know when you're explaining something to me that, like, I can't really conceive? No. Okay. Mary, you once told me that ah means yes in the fifth dimension. In, I guess, your language there. I was wondering, can you tell me more about the language? Specifically right now, can you tell me what the word no is? If ah is yes, what's no? No. Are you telling me that you can't tell me about the language? You can't tell me what no is? No. Are you telling me that the word no means no in the fifth dimension? So ah means yes and no means no. Is that true?
Because the call on its face was a perfectly legitimate call for the incoming National Security Advisor to make. And so
Hold on.
the U.S. attorney at that point, because of all these attacks by the defense counsel,
Blow my nose now.
to take a look at it. This is a man who was 10 years an FBI agent, 10 years as a career prosecutor in the department, and a top lawyer.
Mary, basically, or generally speaking, does the fifth dimension have generally one language? Is it just one language in the fifth dimension?
Flynn's lawyer, that
No.
showed, for example, that the FBI agents who interviewed showed clearly that the FBI agents who interviewed Flynn did not think he was lying. Now, this was later minimized in testimony as suggesting, well, they meant he didn't break out into sweat, his eye pupils didn't contract. That's all they were saying. No. They were saying they didn't believe that he thought he was lying. And various other facts like that about what the real purpose of the
all languages are fluid. Is that what you're saying? All are fluid. All the languages are fluid.
Essentially held just to try to did not have, it was untethered to any legitimate investigation.
So do you mean that, like, when you talk to someone, you just pick the most appropriate words, and that it ends up, the result is that it sort of matches a whole lot of languages. Is that what you're saying?
I decided to drop the case.
It's interesting.
Yes.
How many civil liberties groups
Interesting.
supported your decision? ACLU?
Mary, you told me once that dogs can talk in the fifth dimension. I was wondering, can elephants talk too?
Well, most defense lawyers in the country would say that's outrageous.
Yes.
But here, of course, they're silent.
I think I asked you this next question, but I don't remember exactly. Do dinosaurs talk in the fifth dimension?
That any rule you apply to one person, you have to be willing to.
So why is it that dinosaurs don't talk, but elephants and dogs and people do?
Because it means anything the government's going to do to me, they're going to be willing to do to someone else in my position.
No.
And that means that rules generally, if you really believe that and think about it, it means that rules will be reasonable. And that didn't happen.
Oh.
And whenever you intervene in a case, I don't consider
you started out saying no. What did you say after no? Because I didn't get that answer. No what? No. D. I. N. O. S. No dinos? But you told me once that dinosaurs were in the fifth dimension. Are dinosaurs in the fifth dimension?
Really? So we'll serve a
Yes.
prosecutor, seasoned FBI agent.
I know that dinos don't speak. They don't speak.
I mean, what if
Do you know why? What's the differentiating factor that makes it to where they don't speak?
So,
Like, what causes them not to speak?
one of the areas
But then so many other animals can.
is Russia collusion. So we have this
Ah.
investigation going on.
D.
And you had another independent
O.
U.S. attorney who served in
N.
the Republican and Democrat
T.
administration by the name of Durham out of Connecticut.
K.
He's conducting the investigation. I think
Was
it's
that-
helpful.
Is that supposed to be an N or an O?
Sylvia, my mother-in-law, and for the whole
O.
to understand.
W.
They say, why aren't we indicting somebody?
Yeah, you went to K. You spelled out KOW, but I think you were saying I don't know. Were you saying I don't know?
Well, part of the rule of law, as far as I'm concerned, and one thing I want to get back to.
I know at the edge of the board, you often go to O when you mean to go to N, or B when you go to A, because the planchette just simply doesn't fit. Seemed like that's what was happening there. So, I'll mark that out as I don't know. Can horses talk in the fifth dimension? Yes. Mary, my next question is about, like, revealing things. Like, you know how I have so many questions, and I'm guessing that there's other humans out there that have just so many questions. I was wondering, in the fourth dimension, are a lot of things revealed to people? Like, if they have questions, like, say I wanted to know something, could I ask and get the answer in the fourth dimension?
You're the U.S. attorney. What's his job?
To present the evidence to the grand jury.
And so they basically will decide if somebody should or should not be indicted.
Yes.
And then you're more or less informed.
When I'm in the fourth dimension, like, let's say I want to know the mathematics of reality, would that be able to be explained to me?
Going to be indicted. You don't really have a clue until that is really teed up.
Yes.
That's right. I mean, as you said, John Durham, 35-year veteran of the department, worked for both Republican and Democratic attorneys general on special projects because people have a great deal of
Do
time.
people end up having a lot of questions when they go to the fourth dimension?
And he is about gathering all the evidence that people who's
Oh.
type of, I think
I wonder why that
in
is.
this process, the witnesses have lawyers. Sometimes they won't talk to you. Sometimes they slow it down. Sometimes they will take the Fifth Amendment unless you give them immunity and so forth. Also,
Mary, souls. I'm wondering if souls, when people die in the third dimension, if their souls rise to the sky. Do they?
So this takes some time.
You think the public has a reason to be angry about
No.
the whole Russian collusion stuff, what took place now that we have more and more information coming out on the public record? What about probable cause? Public record?
Mary, I was wondering, like, there's a lot of things in the world here in the third dimension that, like, if we knew, it would make life so much better for so many people. For example, cancer. Cancer doesn't have a cure, but if there was a cure for cancer, like, people wouldn't die of cancer. So I was wondering, do you know the cure for cancer?
Yes, to me it is sort of the doomsday scenario of abuse of government power, which is the party in power
Okay.
uses the police and intelligence
Mary, do you know what rainbow body is?
The field against their political opponents, and that's, that's terrible from a governmental and civil rights standpoint.
Mary, is rainbow body real?
The media was part of this, and that's, to me, probably the worst aspect of it. The so-called watchdogs of the system.
Yes.
They became attack dogs. They weren't watchdogs. They had no
Yes and no. Mary, did you just say yes and no?
Things that were clearly preposterous. They took hook, line, and sinker.
Mary, what aspect of rainbow body is real?
They all got out on the limb. The limb's been sawed off, but you wouldn't know it because there's, you can say, "Whoops, we got that one wrong." They're on to the next conspiracy theory.
And
We'll be right
why?
Hold on 1 second. Sure.
U
Okay. Oh, yay. Safe driver save 40%. Guys.
C
Safe driver save 40%.
A
40%. Safe driver save 40%.
N
That's safe driver save 40%.
It is. That's safe driver save 40%. Right there.
B
It is right here.
E
That's totally him. That's totally the guy.
Safe drivers
C
40%. Click or call for a quote today.
O
Perfect for recovery
M
after a long run.
There's the only thing
E
for a 12-hour shift.
E N L
Heaven.
I
You've never felt anything like Oomphos. Order today
G
at Oomphos.com. Feel better.
H
Feel you.
What stands behind the yard sign of an
T
It's your world, safer and more secure against the
E
unimaginable. With tested,
N
24/7 protection and
E
be customized
D
indoor and outdoor cameras, locks and lights,
I
carbon monoxide detection, and fire and smoke alarms.
and
Get our lowest rate for fast response monitoring starting at just $28.99.
four
$1 a day.
D
Call 1-800-ADT.
A
Hello, I'm Michael.
S
And as you know, my passion is to help each
M
and every one of you get the best sleep of your life.
O
That's why I created my new
N
Giza bed sheets. I started by using the world's
K
best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between
S
the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra
C
soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets
L
also include full 21-inch wide
A
pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and
I
blanket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first
N
night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
I
MyPillow.com or call the number on your
N
screen right now to get your very own
3
MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets.
D.
Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of
Did you
colors.
write? You can become enlightened in 4D as monks claim in 3D. Is that what you said?
Plus free shipping.
Huh? Is are do like high level monks and lamas and other spiritual people in 3D? Did they ever become enlightened?
Never go to a dealership again.
So glad we got it online.
C
Go to Vroom.com, buy a car, and
L
contact free.
Well, this is overwhelming.
O
Where to start? Listen to celebrity
S
decorators with their $1 million budgets and enormous
E.
staff. That's realistic.
close.
Or just step into a store. Oh, no. There's a better way.
I've heard stories, Mary, about people. They okay, well, I guess I'll ask you, what aspect of rainbow body is not true?
Now let's get to work. A sofa, a floor lamp, an area rug. Never forget the area rug. Everything you need with free shipping every day. Easy, right? Getting it done with Overstock, where quality costs less.
Since you're heading
L
off school, I gotta use Brita.
Dad,
I
But we always use Brita.
It's
V
two-stage filter doesn't compare to zero
I
stage. This meter shows how much stuff
and
dissolved solids gets left behind. Our tap water
G
220.
living.
Brita is 110.
Seriously?
But zero water.
Let me guess.
What do you mean living?
That's how I know that it is the pure.
What I don't know what that means.
I need to find the receipt for that.
Oh yeah, you do.
N
General.
O
There's a lot of controversy on these state lockdowns.
K
People of faith who want to go to church.
H
There's some decisions
I
for casinos, abortion clinics,
F
people of faith, or gun
E
owners, and so forth.
I
How do you balance this? What do you make of this?
Well, I'm
O
sort of amused
T
because I'm frequently attacked for being an advocate of
H
executive power when it comes to the presidency.
O
And when the president
S
exercises some power, the
E
left will say, well, what authority, where does he get that authority from?
B
It's governors who are executives in each state.
O
They seem to be content
D
of them having unfettered authority.
H
They should have broad authority in an emergency to deal with
E
disease. And
S
many of the measures are critical to undertake.
No K
The
A
Constitution doesn't take
I
away
F
the
E
civil
I
rights,
O
civil liberties, and they have to be balanced against these measures.
Mary was the
These
first.
have to be
I don't.
reasonable and tailored to address the government's
I think you said
interests,
bodies for that
put
last
least
word.
burden on rights.
Those
That's
bodies.
the
What did you say
honest
before
assertion.
those bodies?
Guess what? Some governors, I think, have gotten some things wrong over the past
No.
6 months, and sometimes they've been capricious.
No,
and arbitrary,
L,
and when those things happen, we've called it
L,
dementia. Most
I,
times they've corrected it voluntarily without us suing.
F,
So if they allow theaters
E,
and other get-togethers, but then they put stricter limits
I,
on church, that's a violation of constitutional rights. The church
N.
should not be treated worse than some
Got it.
commercial
You wrote
operation.
no life in those bodies.
So, for example,
So people, you're trying to say that people don't live in the rainbow body.
Recently, because I felt that
Now that involves
Yes.
a church raising the question, hey, how come we have a bigger limitation on the number of people we can have in the church?
What about so there's people at the end of their life, they disintegrate, or I don't know, disintegrate is what they make their body disappear. Usually this happens in Tibetan culture. They make their body disappear in the third dimension at the end of their life. They're in something called Tukdam meditation, and they're so good at the Tukdam meditation that they make their body disappear. Is that real?
with an absolute number because it doesn't adjust for the size of the church. So there's nothing.
No.
We were supporting social distancing, but we also opposed these arbitrary rules.
Okay.
These rules treated businesses.
Thank you for your perspective. I always thought that was real.
Those instances to the governors.
Is it possible that it's real and you just don't know it?
Well, this is covered by the First Amendment. Like peaceful protest.
No.
Covered by the First Amendment. But isn't it
Okay.
interesting that people who talk about mostly peaceful protests, many of them are taking the opposite side.
What about can they shrink their bodies? Can lamas and high monks and people that are real spiritual at the end of their life, can they shrink their bodies that because of the Tukdam meditation?
And this again goes back to this idea of the rule of law. If you are like us, relatively conservative, you try to be disciplined and say, well, if I apply that rule here, I will have to apply it.
Very interesting.
We've lost, a lot of people don't think that way anymore.
Can they make their bodies disappear except for their hair and their nails and things like that?
Because when it comes to that next case, I'll do impulsively what I think is right there.
Yes.
We see that more and more in the courts. Not so much maybe with the new Trump
Well,
judges, but
that was very specific, Mary, and I realized that I was probably asking that question wrong to get the answer I was looking for. You're very,
that goes back to
I don't know, detail-oriented, and thank you for that. And, wow. It makes me wonder, about what other questions I might have been misled because I simply didn't ask the question properly. Mary, do leaders, do they have gender? Yes. Mary, are leaders humanoid?
My bladder leak
But new always discreet.
Yes and no.
With ultra thin layers that turn liquid to gel.
Why? In what way are they not humanoid?
New always discreet.
I wanted to start dating again, but I didn't know where to start. Silver
L.
Singles made it easy for me to get back into dating.
I.
Over 1 million singles trust Silver Singles
K.
to get back into dating. Signing up is easy. Start your search today
E.
at silversingles.com.
Find your keys. Find your
M.
go. Find pants that aren't sweats.
E.
Find your friends.
They're not humanoid like you. Is that what you meant?
The world is new. Again. At Chevy, we'd like to take you there. Now,
They're a different kind of humanoid than me and you. That. Were you just going to say something? Are they a different kind of humanoid than me and you? No. Okay.
It's time for the Great American Sales Event at your local
S.
store, and we're offering 0%
A.
financing for 72 months across the Ford line.
M.
With great savings on America's best-selling brand,
E.
there's never been a better time to buy.
A.
Hurry in before it's over.
S.
For a limited time, get 0%
M.
financing for 72 months across the Ford
E.
line. Hurry, it's the Great American Sales Event.
You said same as me. Did you think that I was asking which way they were like you? Or which way they were humanoid before?
If you've ever considered getting a walk-in tub, we have great news.
No.
Introducing the all-new shower.
Well, you said like me. I'm very confused. I'm just going to say, okay, so did you say that yes and no to them, to the leaders being humanoid?
$100 value free with our new exclusive shower package. You can now conveniently
Yes.
shower in your new walk-in tub.
Mary, in what way are leaders not humanoid?
Now you can finally enjoy the best of both worlds.
O.
Therapeutic benefits of a
P.
warm, soothing bath that can help
A.
increase mobility, relieve pain, boost energy, and improve sleep. Or if you prefer,
Q.
you can take a safe, refreshing
U.
shower, all in one
E.
amazing product. Call today
L.
for your free shower package
I.
with your purchase of a new
K.
walk-in tub.
Call 1-800-888-8558
E.
for our free exclusive new shower.
M.
Is there a media war to stop
E.
President Trump? David Horowitz is
Are you said opaque like me. Are you saying that
reveals the secret billionaires out to stop Trump.
they're more opaque than you?
Blitz. Mike Huckabee says it's Trump's real victory plan. Mark Levin calls Blitz the best book for 2020. Get your
No.
copy of David Horowitz's Blitz at bookstores
S.
everywhere, or check out the free offer.
A.
$28. Just go
M.
online or call toll free today.
E.
Welcome back,
Same.
Mr. Attorney General.
Mary,
Talk about the
I'm asking you in what ways.
some of these states. It's a little state.
Oh, they're
I don't see how more money is going to fix it.
they're not humanoid
And more states.
in the way that,
We have
like
some
from my
states
perspective,
about
they're opaque like you are.
millions now that never took
Is that
place.
true?
What do you make of all that?
I'm very worried about it. You know, as I said
Okay.
at the beginning, the two ways we have resolving disputes
So,
in society and keeping the peace are discussion.
So you're saying that you're not humanoid in that you're opaque or opaque.
Divided country.
Is that true?
Elections have been very close. We can turn
Yes.
on one state.
Okay, I think I understand.
And people
Mary, is the Virgin Mary real? Was the Virgin Mary a real person?
And I think the people who want to experiment with different ways of voting
Yes.
right now, which are predictably.
Mary, was the Virgin Mary an actual virgin? Is Immaculate Conception real? And did that happen to the Virgin Mary?
Mail-in voting has been used
Yes.
for people who, in individual cases.
Okay, so you're telling me that Immaculate Conception is real and the Virgin Mary was immaculately, is that right? Immaculately conceived, or Jesus Christ was immaculately conceived. Is that what you're telling me?
Thousands and thousands of ballots.
Yes.
It's scary because most of the
Well.
mailings go to a lot of addresses where people no longer live.
Very cool.
They're misdirected. And
Well,
I think it will create a situation
thank you for talking to me, Mary. Before I go, is there any message you want to tell me?
What concerns me, having worked for years in a legal
No.
firm, we looked at a lot of this.
Mary, next time we talk, can I talk to some of them musicians?
That people who have moved and gone in other states, people who are on
No.
maiden name and then a married name.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Suppressing the
I'm going to say goodbye now, Mary.
systemically racist effort to affect the election. I've heard this. We've
Goodbye.
heard this all along, so we know the roles are not perfect. The post office is going to be down to those roles. The post office isn't perfect. We saw what happened in that.